Hello and welcome back to the Odds Now YouTube channel for the latest episode of our weekly betting podcast, The Betting Breakdown. It's me, Matt Hill, once again in the hot seat, and I've got my regular guests alongside me to mark your card ahead of another week of sporting action. What a week it's been in the world of football, with Arsenal crowned Premier League champions for the first time in 22 years after Manchester City's midweek slip-up at Bournemouth. So that means there's no title drama in the EPL on the final day, but we do have relegation battle drama. West Ham and Tottenham battling it out to survive. Who will get over the line? Well, Felix Morson-Pate, our resident football expert, is on hand to talk me through that, as well as the EFL playoff finals, which have seen Middlesbrough reinstated at the expense of Southampton. And we also look at dramatic final days on the cards in Serie A and LaLiga. In the world of racing, the flat action just keeps on coming, with the Temple Park Stakes from Haydock top of the billing this coming weekend. Adam Smido from Races Now joined me to take a look back at a cracking weekend just gone, and also give a nod to what's coming up, including a little look at the Irish 2000 and 1000 guineas and some other anti-post markets such as the Derby and the Oaks. And as usual, finishing things off with the other sport roundup, it's me. We'll be taking a quick look back at Aaron Rye's sensational performance to win the USPGA Championship, a real shock major winner for England there. And in the world of darts, we had two first-time winners on the Pro Tour this week in the form of Andrew Gilding and Luke Woodhouse. I'll be having a little look back at those events and a quick nod to the World Cup of Darts, which is now priced up with a few firms. Before we dive into the action, if you could just take a minute to please hit subscribe on the Odds Now YouTube channel if you haven't already. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers before the World Cup kicks off, and we're so close now, so every sub counts. If you're enjoying the pod, do give us a thumbs up, and don't be afraid to give us a comment. Let us know anything you'd like to see covered in future episodes of the Betting Breakdown. Right, that's the talking done. Let's get into the betting chat. Okay, well, this week we're going to start with football. Where else to start but Premier League chat? I caught up with Felix Morson-Pate a little bit earlier to get his thoughts on all the key matches. But once again, great to be joined by Felix Morson-Pate, our resident football expert here at Odds Now, to get us briefed on the week ahead. Now, Felix, I'll give you a little bit of insight here to the background of Odds Now. I actually spoke to Felix on Tuesday, and we covered various topics, and most of them are now completely irrelevant. So we're actually going again here with a more updated version so that you're getting updated information. The main reason we're re-recording, Felix, is one, because the Premier League title race is now done and dusted after Bournemouth held Man City to a 1-1 draw, making Arsenal champions. And we've had a change in the EFL playoffs with Southampton remarkably kicked out and Middlesbrough reinstated. So it'll be Middlesbrough versus Hull for a place in next season's Premier League this weekend. We will get on to the EFL playoffs. But first, no Premier League title race to talk about. Premier League relegation battle has at least gone down to the last day, thanks to Chelsea beating their old mates Spurs, and it's still very much in Spurs' hands, but I'm sure they would have liked to have had it done and dusted before now.
Probably. I mean, there's basically 1 out of the 9 combined results that can send them down now, barring a massive goal difference swing. And I just don't see that happen. I don't see, as an Everton fan, us being motivated enough to go there the way we're playing, the amount of late goals we're conceding, to go there and beat them. Even though there's a very, very slim chance we still get into Europe, it's pretty much hopeless now. We have to go there and beat them, and then West Ham still have to overturn Leeds as well, who are, they'll want to end the season on a high. Daniel Farke's done a fantastic job amidst a lot of criticism this year, so that's not a foregone conclusion. As I've said many times, there's having the motivation to win, and there's actually being able to get over the line, and West Ham just haven't done that enough this season. So I think Spurs, I don't know what the prices are. They must be like 15s on or something to stay up now. So it's
not actually. It's I'll give you them the prices now. West Ham are 2 to 11 to go down, and Tottenham 11 to 2.
Okay.
So
that just shows my pessimism as an Everton fan.
I know. Do you know what? I was just going to say that. Do you think your allegiances are bleeding into that?
Possibly.
Because I know
that as a better.
No, you shouldn't. But it's very, very hard to do when you watch a team more than you watch any other, and you do have your leans and your prior history. And I certainly have a feeling when my team watching them are going to be up for it or not. So I think it's interesting actually to hear from an Everton fan and hear that you're not expecting much of a fight necessarily from Everton against Tottenham. I do think that the opening half an hour of both of these games are going to be just so crucial. Like, if Tottenham get out the blocks and go 1-0 up, I agree. I don't think Everton will have the stomach or the desire to turn it around and make it a big, occasion. If Spurs don't score early and West Ham were to go 1-0 up at Leeds, that brings real nerves and jeopardy into the afternoon. You're quite right to say there's only kind of one sort of scenario where this flip-flops, and it's a West Ham win and a Tottenham loss, and a lot has to happen for that. But I think we'll know after 20 minutes, half an hour, whether this is going to be dramatic or not. Tottenham have every chance to just kill it before it becomes a thing. But the market certainly thinks West Ham are doomed. Stranger things have happened, West Ham fans. I hang out some hope for you. And I'm sure there's lots of Premier League neutrals who are probably hoping that Spurs do get sucked down. But we'll see anyway. It should be an entertaining one to watch anyway. Well, we've got a lot of action. Before we go on to the playoff finals, last round of fixtures in Spain and Italy, Felix. Over in Serie A, the top four battle looks like it's going to be a fun one to watch in the last day, because Juventus, who've been in control of a top four spot all the way through, suffered a really poor home loss last weekend, which has seen them slip out of the top four, actually slipped down to sixth. You've still got Como in fifth. Both of those are on 68 points. AC Milan and Roma are on 70 points. So basically AC Milan and Roma, if they get a result, they're in. If not, they open the door for Como and Juventus. Do you think there's any chance of a turnaround here in the top four betting?
It's tricky to see. I mean, certainly not. I mean, I can't see Roma not going to Hellas Verona and winning the way they're playing, the form that Daniel Marlin's in. That for me is more or less a foregone conclusion, even though they're actually a slightly bigger price than Milan, who are at home to Cagliari. Again, it's a very, very winnable game for them. But I also can't really have Como short, a bigger price, than Juventus. Juventus slightly shorter. They go away to arch rivals Torino, and Como away at Cremonese, who, to be fair, I understand why the market is the way it is, because Cremonese still have very slim hopes of staying up. They're a point behind Lecce, so they would have to better Lecce's result to stay up. So I can see why that is what's pushing the Como price out, but they're so impressive for me. Como Fabregas done a fabulous job in the second season back in the top flight. I know they've had heavy investment, but they're going to be in Europe regardless. It's going to be great to watch them in Europe. Whether he's in charge or not next season, we shall see. But it's going to take a really big upset for either of those sides to sneak back into the top four now.
Yeah, I just wonder if it's worth playing Torino at home to Juventus, like you said, rivals here. I mean, if Juventus, because they've slipped out at the last minute, they've only got themselves to blame here, really. That was an appalling result at the weekend. And if AC Milan and Roma are doing it easily, then what's the motivational level for Juventus in the latter stages of this game? You know, if AC and Roma are both 2 or 3 up, there's no motivation there for them, really, is there? Whereas Torino have got the chance to sort of pour more fuel on the fire of their arch rivals and stuff, and they're nearly 6-1 to win this game, Torino. So I think if I was, rather than playing this market, I'd maybe just chance Juventus in kind of imploding even more. That would be the way I would play it personally. But La Liga is a very interesting one as well. Shame the Premier League hasn't followed suit with this sort of drama going down to the last day, but European leagues are delivering for us. Real Madrid and Barcelona obviously have fought out the title. Barca have won that at a canter in the end, but there's still plenty of drama at the bottom of the league. An epic relegation battle, which on the last day still technically has 6 sides involved in it. 7 if you count Mallorca, who are still trying to stay up, of course. So
just 5, I think.
Okay. Well, head-to-heads have killed me there because I'm going on the goal difference and stuff. So but an epic battle nevertheless. 5 teams on the last day. Brilliant stuff. Give us some insight on this if you can, Felix.
Well, I think the main thing to look at is Elche and Girona, who are 2 points separated. Girona occupy the last relegation spot on 40, Elche on 42. They play each other at Girona, and Girona are quite strong favourites. They're about 3-4 to win that at home, which would obviously see them leapfrog Elche there. So that if that result were to happen, that would send Elche down and keep Girona up. A point for Elche would be enough, given then Mallorca also couldn't catch them. I think the money has actually come for Osasuna, who are playing. They're away at Getafe, who are still needing to secure their spot in Europe. Getafe are about a 7-5 favourite to win that one. For that to happen, they would need Mallorca to win and overturn a fair bit of goal difference, and then Elche to get at least a point at Girona. So it's not out the realms. What are they there? 13-2. Yeah, the price reflects that. Levante would take an absolute miracle, although their goal difference is pretty bad. They are playing.
It was 9-1 when we had our first attempt at recording this. Osasuna to go down. and it's now 13-2. So money has definitely come for that, and you can see the logic. A tough away game against the side chasing Europe. So if we put them down to lose, it opens the door for the teams to overtake them, doesn't it?
Levante away at Betis, who are already confirmed to finish 5th, so there's not a lot of motivation for Betis in that one. I would probably, it's going to take a miracle for Mallorca, but I can't have Girona be that short at home, so I would definitely either look to play them to go down, or you could play like the Elche double chance, which the point gets them up, whichever you can get the slightly bigger price on. Because I've been very impressed with Elche coming up and fighting and taking it all the way to this last day. So that'd be where I would be leaning towards. But a thrilling race. Even now, like Girona in 18th on 40th, Getafe in 7th on 48. That's how tight the table has been all season long.
Yeah, you can get 21-20 on Elche double chance, so that is the slightly bigger price. And that would be the way to play it for Felix. Should be an epic conclusion. Well, the only other thing to touch on this week is the EFL playoff finals, Felix. We'll just fly through them. Now, originally we thought this was Southampton versus Hull. It's now Middlesbrough versus Hull. And I just wanted to ask you, like, all the talk has been about Southampton being harshly done by, Middlesbrough being fortunate, blah, blah, blah. Nobody's really talking about Hull. How does this impact Hull, having prepared to play Southampton, and then with 3 or 4 days' notice being told, actually, no, you're playing Middlesbrough? I think the kickoff time changed by an hour. It's definitely disrupted their preparations, hasn't it?
Massively. And I've seen people go, well, as soon as they heard the appeal was going on, they should have just prepped to play either of them. And it's like, you can't do that. There's only a finite number of hours in a day. You can't double train when you're training for a 120 plus £1 million game at Wembley. That's just not on. I think Hull have been very harshly done. If I'm Hull, I'm asking can we not just be promoted automatically? If I'm perfectly honest, if you don't ask, you don't get. But it's definitely impacted the prep. But as the whole season has shown, if you're a data follower like me, don't write Hull off. Write them off at your peril. In a one-off game, they have enough match winners to win this. Balumi, McBurney's got a point to prove being left out of the World Cup squad. Millar, Gelhardt, Joseph. They can beat anyone in a one-off game. And I think I fancied Borough over the 2 legs against the Saints. I know they didn't get it done, and they've got their second chance, but they're a side that play well and don't get the results to show for it. Hull are a side that don't necessarily play well and do get the results out of it. So, like I say, they're basically the same prices that Saints were against Hull, weren't they? So I'm not sure about that myself.
Yeah, do you know what? Like, Hull have been a topic of conversation all season, haven't they? With like people trying to oppose the price because of the data and stuff, and they keep defying it. And sometimes you do just get these teams that just defy their underlying numbers, and winning habit is a good one to have going into a one-off game. So I certainly wouldn't be back in Middlesbrough at 2-5, put it that way. But we'll see how that one pans out. Down in League One, the other two are pretty much pick'ems, each of twos. In League One, we have Stockport taking on Bolton. And I think this is a really tough game to call. Bolton probably got the pedigree and experience as a club of playing at that higher level. Stockport, this is probably the biggest game for 30 years, I would say. But again, they've been an upwardly mobile club who've had 4 or 5 promotions in the last decade or so, know how to win these kind of games. It's a difficult one to call. 10-11 the pair. Have you got any feeling either way?
There's a slight lean towards Stockport on the basis that I think I'd prefer their match winners over Bolton's. Slightly, Louis Barry over Mario Cozy-Dewberry. I think Wotton's going to be able to move back up front, and this is a guy who got 16 goals, I think, in League One this year, having been deployed as an auxiliary centre-back. They comfortably dispatched Stevenage, who are notoriously a very tough side to break down. I thought Bolton were poor in the second leg against Bradford. I didn't like the way they came out and played so negatively at Valley Parade. Obviously, they nicked it late on, but I think in a neutral venue, they can't really try and contain Stockport like that. I think they're going to have to go with them. And if that happens, I would just about rather be with Stockport.
Yeah, and then in League Two, then we have another pick'em between Salford and Notts County, 2 teams who have been trying to get out of League Two for quite a while now. Have failed playoff campaigns previously, and once again, 10-11 the pair. Do you have a lean here, Felix?
Again, slight lean towards Notts County. Again, just based on if I had to pick someone to win the game for me, I would probably go for a Notts player, Yatta. I really like Tom Iopenda in that number 10 role. Jaden Luca as well was impressive in the playoff semis. I thought Salford did brilliantly to turn it around against Grimsby, going a goal down after 20 odd seconds, and they're a very resolute side. That 4-4-2 works really well for them. But again, I think they'll still be a little bit deflated that they didn't get it done on final day. They had the opportunity to, and they drew with Crawley, who only just stayed up because of that result. So I think that might just be playing on their mind. And I think Notts are the better side that produce a more consistent level of football. And in a 90-minute game, I think I'm just about going to side with that.
Okay, then. Well, that's the playoff finals covered. We will give the final word to Aston Villa, who were brilliant in last night's Europa League final. And I just done a piece for oddsnow.com on next season's first show of Premier League odds. And Villa 33-1 to win the Premier League. And you can see how they would have their suitors a consistent progress under Unai Emery, and a brilliant night for them last night, Felix.
Oh, wonderful. I know a couple of Villa fans, and they're absolutely buzzing. And it was just a dominant display. And I think we may see a few more dominant displays from English teams in the second and third tier European competitions for now. So get ready, Bournemouth fans. If you don't get into the Champions League, it could be a fun year for you next year. Same for you, Brighton. Yeah, wonderful. And I think they're not really going to get a better opportunity than next season. I know Arsenal are going to be fairly strong favourites, not odds on, probably around 6-4, 11-8.
They are 6-4 favourites, yeah.
Yeah, but it feels a little bit like the year after Leicester won the league. There was no clear contender after that, and Chelsea obviously came through the pack and won it under Conte, but who knows how City will get on with no Guardiola. Liverpool in a bit of flux. Alonso coming in at Chelsea. Carrick has done really well at United. Can he carry that on? Newcastle tend to do well on the years they're not in Europe, so maybe with a bit of investment, how will they do? And obviously Villa. So I think it's really well poised, and we'll obviously come on to that more over the summer. But congratulations to Aston Villa, back in the Champions League regardless now next season. Things very much on the up for them. And Unai Emery continues his remarkable Europa League record.
He certainly does. What a man. Head over to oddsnow.com if you want to read that deep dive on next year's prices and the leading contenders. Felix, thanks for your time as always, mate. We'll catch up with you again next week.
Thank you very much. See you soon.
Always great to hear from Felix. And if you haven't already, do check out our World Cup betting podcast. We've been doing a mini-series, 6 episodes covering all the different types of markets you can expect to be betting on this summer in the USA. It's only less than 3 weeks till the World Cup starts now, and it's a perfect little binge if you've not already come across the series, because we've been doing 6 episodes, 4 of them already live. The 5th one is on the way tomorrow. And if you're enjoying that podcast, then please do give it a thumb up and let us know in the comments. Time for some racing chat now with Adam Smido Smith, the man who's always on hand to mark our card ahead of another weekend of flat action. Well, joining us once again for our chat on all things racing is Races Now's Adam Smith. Smido, good to have you on. And as always, before we dive into the week ahead, we'll have a little look back on last week's action. It was obviously all about the Lockinge last weekend. When we last chatted, I know you were keen on Zeus Olympios, which ran a good race, but was no match for the winner, Notable Speech, which I think it's fair to say a classy horse has won a lot of great races, but was probably hard to have a lot of faith in Notable Speech the last time we spoke. But the money came and he delivered what I think was quite a striking performance in victory.
Yeah, he got smashed up. He was as big as 5 or 6 to 1 on Thursday night. He's ended up going off 2 to 1, well supported on the Friday and into the Saturday. And he was, without question, the best horse in the race. It's the best performance we've seen from him on these shores for probably 2 years. He didn't win a race in Europe at all last year. But yeah, as Charlie Appleby said after the race, that's the real Notable Speech we've seen there. If you watch the race, he was waiting for space. It was a very, very brave ride from William Buick. He actually switched to a different side of the track, if you like, or the race at a key moment. And I thought, oh, that could be a mistake, but the horse has gone clear. He well deserved the win. Zeus Olympios, not good enough. That horse has still not had many runs, and we're finding out about him. Maybe we're finding out that he just isn't quite up to it as I thought he was. I think the horse in second, More Thunder, that horse is going to go in many a notebook. It was out the back on Saturday, ridden to get the trip. He has ran over a mile before, but that was with his old trainer, Sir Michael Stout. He's never won over a mile. Now, he's been running 7 furlong races last year. This was over a mile, ridden to get the trip, let's say, out the back, see how we get on. First run of the season, he's finished with a wet sail, so he'll have gone in many a notebook. But there was nobody was any match for Notable Speech on the day. And now all roads lead from the Lockinge to the Queen and the opening race at Royal Ascot on I think it's the 17th of June, the Tuesday. All roads lead to there, where you were going to get notable speech. And apparently we're going to get Opera Ballo as well, his stablemate that won that big race we spoke about a couple of weeks ago. So that'll be interesting if they both turn up. Yeah, cracking race and a really good day. I put up Lost Boys on the channel on Thursday to win the London Gold Cup. That was about the only success I had on the day, to be honest. But I was quite happy with that nonetheless. Calpana, a horse that's a Group 1 horse without any question. She returned as well in the opening race at Newbury. 11 to 10 favourite, dotting in front, I think, let's call it that way. And there'll be plenty for more to come from her this season.
Yeah, certainly will. And we did have York's Dante meeting as well last week, which we won't dwell on too much, but some impressive performances there, likes of Legacy Link. Item was quite impressive as well. Any that took your eye from York over the 3 days?
Yeah, I went into the Musadora that Legacy Link was running in, thinking that she might not be a stay or stay well enough or be bred to stay for the Epsom Oaks in mind, but she proved that wrong because she won the Musadora in good style. Item, as you mentioned, then won the Dante in really nice style. He's unbeaten, so he's gone in as second favourite in the Derby market. I'd have more question marks over Item, or let's put it this way: I'd rather back Legacy Link to win at Epsom than Item if we was going now. But you can't really argue. I mean, Item, the way he's bred out of a sister to Frankel, I believe, he's unbeaten and he's just won the Dante by 2 3/4 lengths, beating Action and Christmas Day, both from the O'Brien yard. That's fair enough for him. He deserves to be a candidate for the Derby, and he will be. Cedar Fire also won on Thursday at York. She's won that race. That race 2 years in a row. That's called the Middleton Filly Stakes Group 2. She absolutely wazzed up in that. The Yorkshire Cup was disappointing on Friday. None of the big names were in that one, unfortunately. Rahib, who was a good horse last year, don't get me wrong, ran well in the St. Ledger. He was the winner of that race for Roger Veary, and he's a stayer going places. The real letdown in that race was Amilock, who for some reason, and I will admit to you, Pieman, I was travelling down to Newbury on Friday. He was 8 to 13 at the off, Amilock, and I actually laid him. It's not very often that I go around laying horses. I rather back others in the market. But yeah, first run of the season, or first run since November, to go off 8 to 13. It wasn't a great renewal, but I thought that was very, very short, and so it proved. I got that one right in the end. But yeah, much preferred Newbury to York, put it that way. The sprint races at York were an absolute carnage last week, as they regularly are. Big fields, draw bias. There was differing views of what the going stick reading or the going was. There was a bit of rain in the air. It was a bit of a mess on the straight track. Maybe no one's fault, but the results were somewhat random. Yeah,
okay. Well, we'll have plenty more of York over the summer. I always find it quite a tricky track, I've got to say, to find winners on. But it's still great racing and a great viewing experience nonetheless to enjoy a trip to York. Well, looking ahead to the action then this coming week and beyond, we have an entry stage today as we speak on Tuesday for the Derby and the Oaks. We've currently got 22 in the Derby, 16 in the Oaks. Are you anticipating any withdrawals? And I am aware I'm making you look potentially a bit of a mug here talking before things happen, but what's your state of play on it?
No, I think the only action we're going to see in both markets really is which ones Aidan O'Brien runs. To be honest, I think that pretty much all the horses that are in there that are not trained by Aidan O'Brien pretty much will run, and I'm referring to both the Derby and the Oaks. If we're just looking at the Derby specifically, Benvenuto Cellini's in there at 94 second favourite. We knew that last week. The big question in the Derby market is, will Constitution River, not Hill, will Constitution River run in the Derby? That's the big question mark. He was very impressive at Chester, as was Benvenuto in a separate race. But the clock boys, the time boys, were really taken with Constitution River. He actually ran a track record there. But that was over 10 furlongs. Will he stay the 1.5 miles? Or will he even try it? Because he does have the option. And it looks at the moment, if you're playing Aidan O'Brien bingo, like I do every week of my life, it looks like they're going to go to France with him. So he will come out. There'll be a bit of a shake-up in the market. And then there's other horses in there for O'Brien as well that are currently in but might not run. The likes of Action and Christmas Day, they ran in the Dante last week. They're 33-40 to one shot. Hawk Mountain, another O'Brien horse, he may go to France as well. Endorsement, Causeway, it's a usual story at this time of the year. There's O'Brien horses all entered, but a lot of them might not run. I think that's the only differences you'll see. In the Oaks market, I think Amelia Earhart's very solid. 2 to 1. I've said that on Races Now last week, columns and on video. I think she's very solid. It is nice that we've got Legacy Link in there at 7 to 2. The headline, if you like, for the Oaks today. No real surprise. Diamond Necklace has been taken out. I said in my column last week, right at the get-go, if Diamond Necklace was to run in the Oaks, I think she'll be favourite and I think she would take all the beating. She's not going because she doesn't stay the trip. She's going to be going over to France. So, yeah, only 16 in the Oaks at this stage. It will get whittled down again next Monday. And then obviously for Thursday ahead of the race. But the story with both races at the moment, Aidan O'Brien has the favourite and he also has plenty other in the market. The field will get whittled down. But those that aren't trained by Aidan O'Brien at the moment that are in there, I think, will run.
Just judging on your comment there about the 16 runners at this stage, are we looking at a sort of a lesser field than a standard Joe at this point, would you say?
Yes, yeah, I think you're gonna be ending up with, well, certainly I think you'll end up with single figures in the Oaks, to be fair. And like I said, that's just mainly because O'Brien's got so many and they will come out. I'm just going to try and do you a quick count up of how many he has got. They've decided to change the Racing Post website today of all days, which is pretty interesting. But he's currently got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's got 7 of the 16. So if we assume that goes down to 2, maybe 3, there's at least 4 or 5 to come out. So you're already down to 12. And then it depends what the home trained horses do as well. So yeah, I think you're going to be single figures for the Oaks. You might be 12 or 14 for the Derby.
Okay, so it could be low on quantity, high on quality in the Oaks. And we'll see how those markets progress. And if you want to keep up to date with all things classics and anti-post markets, then Adam is your man, penning regular columns over on oddsnow.com. I will drop the links to both our most regular racing columns in the description below this video, so you can head over and check them out. Well, looking ahead to this weekend then, Smith, before I let you go, Haydock has the Temple Stakes and the Sandy Lane Stakes, which are both Group 2s, I believe. So some good quality racing on offer in the Northwest. Talk us through that one.
Yep, so the Temple is a Group 2 5 furlong race, a stepping stone from here at Haydock to the King Charles, the third stakes as it's called now, at Ascot, which is the 5 furlong sprint at Royal Ascot. What should be said is that the top 5 in the market for that Royal Ascot 5 furlong Group 1, none of them are trained in Britain or Ireland. Australia, Japan, France. So what we're saying is this Temple Stakes that's currently 4-1 the field, Knight Raider, who won at Newmarket a couple of weeks ago, is the favourite. These are seen in the markets at the moment as not being as good as their Australian or international counterparts. So I thought that was interesting that the winner of this usually, under normal circumstances, would be near the top of the market for that King Charles Stakes. It used to be called the King Stand. That is unlikely to happen this year. I mean, someone could win this by a length or so and still not be in the top 5 in the market for Royal Ascot. So that was interesting. So it makes it a bit of a localised race. We're just keeping an eye on the weather at Haydock. Very much up in the air at the moment, to the extent whereby, and this doesn't happen very often, on our Monday anti-post show, SD will have an anti-post bet every week of the year, not this week. The first time in ages, because he just doesn't know, and he's right, what the ground's going to be, and the draw bias, if there is one. We saw it on the Sprint Cup day last year, and on this day last year. You needed to be on that rail. SD called it absolutely perfectly on the Sprint Cup, by the way. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. But this Haydock is a 3-day meeting. So we're going to get some evidence from Thursday and Friday if there is a favourable part of the track to be on. Like I say, Knight Raiders in there. There's American Affair. I'll be hoping that one runs well again. He won the Royal Ascot race last year, but has only had one run since. So that is absolutely wide open at the moment. In the Sandy Lane Stakes, this is over the same course and the same distance, 6 furlongs at Haydock on Saturday. This is for the 3-year-olds only, and this is a direct line into the Commonwealth Cup, which is at Royal Ascot on the Friday, one of the newer Group 1 races in the British racing calendar. The Venetian Sun, who ran in the 1,000 guineas, did not stay, as I predicted beforehand. I also predicted True Love wouldn't stay in the 1,000 guineas, and she won by over 2 lengths. But Venetian Sun, it's 5-2 to win that. Koppel, who won at Ascot a couple of weeks ago in the Pavilion Stakes, I think he's got a good chance. So yeah, I'll be keeping an eye on the weather forecast and the declarations and the draw bias. The one horse I have put up on the show last night is Princeling in this Silver Bowl handicap. You need to be drawn low here, really, if possible. So I'm taking that risk. It was 12-1 last night. It's now 8-1. William Haggis is in flying form with handicappers, particularly 3-year-old handicappers. This is a 3-year-old handicap, the Silver Bowl. Fingers crossed that it is declared Princeling on Thursday, and then he goes on to run me a good race on Saturday. That's a wide open at the moment. Silver Bowl 6-1 field. Priesling's in there at 8.
Good stuff. Well, you always leave us with one to watch, and we'll certainly be scribbling that one down and keeping a good eye on things. Just before I let you go, Irish 1,000 and 2,000 guineas this weekend as well. Any interest for you, or one you'll take a sort of passing eye on?
Yeah, so Gustad is going to be odds-on favourite for the Irish 2,000 guineas. That's following he finished second in the Newmarket 2,000 guineas, whereby the third and the rest of the field were 8 lengths back further away. So yeah, the decks for them, they actually we do a 5-day declaration in the UK on a Monday for the big races on a Saturday. In Ireland, it's actually on a Tuesday. So I'm just waiting for them to come through as we speak, actually. There's 13 in the Irish 2,000 guineas at the moment. That's going to be led by Gustad, no doubt. And he's 4-9. Charlie Appleby came out yesterday. He was on a terrible run of form last week, as we reported on. He's turned that round over the weekend. He had 2 winners on Friday, notable speech on Saturday. He's on about running Distant Storm in the Irish 2,000 guineas. That would be half interesting. We need someone to put it up to Gustad. And then on the Sunday, it's all about Precise for Aidan O'Brien. This was the horse that was the best. She was the best filly of last year, but she was a bit behind, predictably behind in terms of her preparation for the 1,000 guineas. She finished 7th there. Not good enough, but she is going to find herself a 7-4 favourite at the moment for the Irish 1,000 guineas. Again, it looks like an Aidan O'Brien banquet.
Same old story in Ireland then. Well, hopefully you'll be on the right side of the Aidan O'Brien bingo this weekend. Thanks for that update, Smid. We'll catch up with you again next week. Good luck with your bets this weekend. And where do people go if they want the racing content this week?
Yep, so we're going to have you need to be over on Racers Now on YouTube. We're going to have a first Royal Ascot anti-post with a couple of bets. I will be tipping this week, Pieman. The biggest price ever tipped on Racers Now will be tipped by me this week. So look out for that. We've been going 5 years. It's going to be the biggest prize ever tipped. As a result of it being that big, it probably won't win. But tune in to find out. So yeah, we've got a written Royal Ascot preview going up. Royal Ascot video to go with that. We'll be back on Thursday, as we are every single Thursday evening, looking at all the best action for Saturday. SD tipped a 20-1 winner at Newbury last week, so hopefully you can do the same again this Thursday.
Brilliant. Well, always a pleasure getting caught up with you, Smid. Good luck with your bets, and we'll chat to you again next week.
Thank you.
Always good to hear from Smido. And if you want the best free horse racing content, insight, and analysis on YouTube, head over to Races Now and hit that subscribe button. There's Thursday shows and Monday shows and all kinds of anti-post content going up on the channel. It really is the place to be for horse racing fans. Okay, well, I'm on to take a look at other sport of note just heading into this week. But we should look, firstly, back at last week. And what a fantastic story in golf. Always nice to see an English major winner, particularly on American shores. And Aaron Rai, I don't think he was top of many people's lists heading into the week at Aronimink. But wow, did he play some superb stuff along that back nine. It was great to see. You rarely hear a bad word from any of the other pros about Aaron Rai. Just a real grinder. Apparently the last man on the practice green and doing everything right. And I thought actually the way that he closed out that tournament was worthy of anybody. The last 10 holes, I think if we'd seen a Scheffler or a McIlroy doing that, people would be waxing lyrical about the level of performance there. So went off 150-1 Aaron Rai with some firms and was the likes of 50-1 to be the top European. So, you know, there was some, I'm sure there was some shrewd operators that did have a little tickle on that. He was obviously in great form. He was in contention the week before, actually, before collapsing sort of late in the piece. So it wasn't like he was out of form. But as for the USPGA, it just continues to deliver slightly strange results. It's definitely one as a punter that you'd be wanting to take a few swings on bigger prices, I think. But Rai snapped the streak of American winners there. And it just shows that, you know, if the course is set up in a difficult way, it really does bring the whole field into contention. I much prefer watching golf personally when it's not just a drive and putt competition. You want to see it challenging. You want to see the pros struggling. And it so often brings other players into play. It reminded me a little bit of when Brian Harman won the Open. You know, not a long hitter at all, but surgical precision and just worked his way around a difficult course. And similar comments apply to Rai. So really, really pleased to see him get over the line there. In terms of remaining majors this year, we have the Open, which will be on the horizon soon, and obviously the US Open a little bit later in the year. That will be covered extensively over on oddsnow.com. So if you like your golf, do keep an eye out for our golf content over on the website. And finally, let's talk darts, where there's been 2 Pro Tour events this week. 2 Lukes winning them, but obviously Luke Littler doesn't fancy turning up to these floor events. So it was Luke Humphries, his old adversary, that took the title on Monday. And then a much-deserved first Pro Tour win for Luke Woodhouse on Tuesday. Woody was the highest-ranked player in the PDC system without a senior title to his name. That is now put to bed. He's been threatening it for a while. Made a final on the last event of last year, but lost to Vessel Nyman. I remember that one because I backed him at 80-1 that day. But he's been knocking at the door. The price has been contracting. He's been going off around 50-1, 40-1 for these events. Everyone kind of knew there would be a day when Luke Woodhouse would pop up and win. And fair play to him. He took his opportunity when it came. The final 4 on that day was quite attractive, it must be said. He beat Andrew Gilding in the final. The likes of Harry Ward enjoying a fantastic run, getting in as a reserve. James Wade played very well, but lost 7-6 to Gilding in the semis. So it did open up a little bit for Woodhouse, but hey, when it opens up, that's when you've got to take your chance. We've seen far lesser players than Luke Woodhouse win on the Pro Tour, and I was really, really pleased for him, even if I didn't manage to benefit from it financially. It was a bit of a painful day for me, actually. I had Sebastian Białowski 4 places at 175-1, 4-1 up on Wade in the quarterfinals. You know the rest, lost 6-5. So been hitting the bar a lot this month with the old Pro Tour, but we soldier on. And then Luke Humphries on the Monday, just delivering a reminder really of when he turns up, he's there to be taken seriously. I mean, for me, I'm trying to back big prices, and it's always good for me when Humphries turns up because it pushes everyone else's price out. But you have to accept that once or twice a year he is going to get over the line and just be too good for everybody, and that's exactly what he did on Monday. So that'll be another confidence boosting win for him. Obviously coming there off the back of qualifying for Premier League finals night, first Premier League nightly win last Thursday. So riding high with confidence now, Luke Humphries. Been really interesting to see if he could do anything on finals night. Obviously, after Thursday's fixtures, we'll know the exact makeup of who plays who in the semis. There's a fair chance it will be Humphries and Littler in the semis, or we could easily, if they stay apart, have a repeat of the Humphries-Littler final, which we've already seen in the Premier League not so long ago. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing how Luke Humphries goes on Premier League finals night. And we should just take a quick look at the odds for that as things stand. Now, this is prior to Week 16's fixtures getting underway. So Luke Littler, as you would expect, the 10-11 favourite at the time of recording to win this year's Premier League. If he does play Luke Humphries in the semi-final, this market is going to have a bit of a shake-up because at the moment Humphries is the 7-2 second fav, but obviously that would shuffle if Humphries ended up finishing 4th. It's just literally going into these Thursday fixtures. Humphries and Price are level on points, but Price has the better leg difference. So if Humphries goes further than Price effectively on Thursday night, he'll leapfrog him into 3rd and set up a semi-final with Johnny Clayton. Going price there at 5-1 best price with AK bets, 9-2 elsewhere. And Johnny Clayton, 8-1 available on the ferret. And that feels a tad disrespectful, really, to Johnny Clayton when you consider how good he's been in this Premier League campaign. I guess the market is just suggesting that as this format extends, he might not be able to get it done. But he's a former winner of this competition. He loves this competition more than anything else. So you'd be a brave man to rule him out entirely. And I think, anybody that took the 50-1 available on Clayton pre-tournament will be feeling quietly confident that they'll get a run for their money on finals night. But be interesting to see how those semi-finals end up shaping up. We'll have another look ahead of the action next week when we know the semi-final lineup, and I'll hopefully be able to put up a couple of bets for you on those games. The final thing I wanted to just have a quick look at this week in the world of darts is the World Cup, which a few firms have started pricing up. Now, this tournament takes place next month, and people will remember last year that it was a real talking point because England were put in as outrageously short favourites with the supposed dream team of Littler and Humphries, and it did not work. They went out in their first game losing to host Germany. Now, England once again have been instilled as big favourites. As you can see, Bet Victor holding strong at 1-2, but a few soft books have cut them already to 2-5. It's going to be really interesting to see what price they go off because we all know of the qualities of Littler and Humphries, but I'm a big believer that pairs darts is far more important to have a chemistry and an understanding of your partner than it is to have the quality. And sometimes, we've seen big price winners in this tournament and big price finalists just because simply you've had a good pair. I mean, Austria with Mensur Suljovic and Robert-Jan Rodriguez have had huge success in this tournament. On rankings, you wouldn't have them anywhere near it, but they click. And we saw something similar with the Dutch pair of Jan van Veen and Danny Noppert last year, which is a pairing that I absolutely loved. So it's a very interesting market. At the moment, I'm kind of wanting to get against England, but I'm not quite sure who I'm going to do it with. When I have a little bit more conviction in how I'm going to play this market, I will share on a future episode of this podcast. But if you've got any thoughts on the World Cup of Darts, do let me know in the comments. Do you think England are an absolute good thing? A lot of people thought that last year and it didn't work out, but they might well just do it this year. So let me know what you're thinking about that market. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Well, that's all we've got time for this week on the betting breakdown. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please do give us a little thumb up and don't forget to drop us a comment with your best bets for the week ahead. If you're looking for a little bit more sports betting listening, head over to the Odds Now YouTube channel and check out our World Cup betting podcast. New episode dropping on Friday as well. That's episode 5 of 6. And we've got loads of World Cup content coming your way next month. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'll be back next week with another episode of the Betting Breakdown. We'll see you then.